Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Unplugged. Like I say to people, it's Thursday, and so it must be unplugged day for today. Um, Today, we are having a really like a wrap up to the session we've had, what we call our foundational series for the year. We started off with Mind Your Mind, and Mind Your Business, and we felt it was very important that people get to know what the nuts and bolts, and we call it our own mini MBA, what we give to the growing business community, and see what can we possibly add as value to that community, including ourselves, because we are also in the growing business community. So my name is Julia Okujaks. This is Unplugged. It's a free-to-air program which is curated by Julia Jacks Consulting to inform, to inspire, to celebrate, and to support growing businesses and their owners. So what have we done for over the past 5 weeks? We've discussed the importance of minding your mind, entrepreneurship, especially at any level, but especially when you're starting off and you're trying to gather steam, can be a very emotionally draining and isolating business. So you need to guard your mind and all the mental health issues around it. And we moved on to the importance of having a grand vision for your business, but matching this with the willingness to start small, be humble, start small, and grow intentionally, grow fast. After that, we went on to all the good stuff about managing your money, separating your finances, complying with the legal and fiduciary responsibilities, obligations of your business. And last week, we looked at the importance of the values of excellence, grit, and then the issue of pivoting, because sometimes we have to pivot in life. And this week, we want to talk about one of those things that nobody really talks about or tells you about as a growing business owner. That is how to expand your pool of new and repeat clients, how to expand even the pool of people that you know through networking. I don't know if maybe there's schools that teach networking, Osayi will tell us, but I don't know at the growing business level, when you're just starting off, whether anybody really teaches you about networking. And to discuss this today is somebody I consider to be an accomplished networker, Osayi Alile. But permit me to tell you just a little bit about her. She is a quintessential leader with over 2 decades of experience in the small and medium enterprise sector and in diverse areas of the sector. She's worked in international development, business and philanthropic management, fundraising, sustainability, and I believe also the financial sector as well. She's the founding curator of Global Shapers Forum Nigeria, and is currently the Chief Executive Officer of Aspire Coronation Trust Foundation. Now, what is Aspire Coronation Trust Foundation, you may ask? Well, if you ask, it means that you're not in that network, but let me tell you what it is. It's a grant-making, not-for-profit organization that provides funding to social sector organizations, which are focused on health, entrepreneurship, environment, and leadership. Those are the 4 areas for now: health, entrepreneurship, environment, and leadership. Now, through Osayi's dedication and resilience, the Aspire Coronation Trust Foundation was consecutively adjudged the best not-for-profits for the year at the CSR Awards 2018, 2019, 2020. Did I say 4 years? My math is bad. 3 years. 3 years, but I'm sure they've garnered more awards since then. She herself is an award-winning executive, and she has served in various capacities. She's a past chairman of the Executive Council of Women in Management, Business and Public Sector, WIMBIZ, and she's also a current member of the Board of Trustees of WIMBIZ. And she sits on the board of several companies across the nation. Osayi, I'm sure outside the nation as well.
Yes.
I'm sure outside the nation.
Oh gosh.
And Osayi is extremely passionate about women, about youth, about empowerment, equality, equity. And this sounds like her own personal slogan, creative, positive social impact in our world. Very important, very important. Welcome again to Osayi. To you, Osayi. Thank you.
Jax.
You were a guest last year, and it was one of our most watched programs because a lot of people in the not-for-profit sector and in the for-profit sector were just excited to get what you were, things that they would not get from you, from other people easily. They have to pay, but and they were getting it back to back, and I think they all think that I can give them a free pass to you. Guys,
okay.
Osayi is tough. Trust me. She's good, but she's tough.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mrs. Jackson, for having me.
It's a pleasure. It's really a pleasure. It's really a pleasure. And I'd like to just dive into the questions because we've had quite a few people who've sent in questions. And one of them, let me just read it as it came. It said, some growing businesses appear to have the perfect luck. The right people just seem to appear in their lives. They're ready to connect them with those who provide them with all the business, all the clients they want. In the real world, do you think it happens this way? Or do we have to work hard for our good luck? I thought I should hit you with a heavy one.
That's a heavy one. And it's a beautiful question because it helps you to start. Because a lot of people do think that people are just lucky. And I do agree that people are blessed and there's favor that comes. But with favor, there's work. Hard work is, Mrs. Jax, now, there's still hard work. We all work still hard. I mean, I'm really grateful for the favor and the blessings of God, but there's so much work that you have to still do and to continuously move to the next level. So it's a two-pronged approach. Because I'm a woman of faith, I always say that God gives you favor. But even the Bible, it still says that you have to move. It always tells us move, open the door. It gives us instructions to
Step
do.
in the water, yes.
You just have to do. And I promise you, those businesses, they have sacrifice, they pay the price for people just willing to do anything for them. There's a price that must be paid with building a relationship, with networking, with getting people available for you at every given time. There's some people that can call me. I've just not been able to say no, but they know the price that they played in my life, So it's always like almost difficult for me to say no to them because they have the stripes on their back. And I can also see that I've given them one of those stripes. So it's so easy for me to say yes to. So don't always think to yourself that, some people are just lucky. They are not doing anything. They're just sitting in their house. I promise you, if it's not the hard work they themselves have done, it's hard work that their parents have done for them, or it's hard work that somebody around that environment or a friend has paid. So someone will tell me, I give an example. I have someone that needed something desperately this morning, Mrs. Jax. And she said, I've called everybody and nobody has been able to get me this information. And she says that someone had told her that, call Osayi. Osayi knows this person. As soon as she called me, I remember that she had done something for me a few years ago. So immediately I woke up, the first thing I thought was that I must solve this situation. It was easy for me because the person that she wanted to reach out to was someone I knew very well. So I sent a message to this person. This person has been trying to reach you. But you see, it's not a matter, I'm connecting all the dots. This person that called me, she has done something for me in the past. I haven't forgotten. The person I'm calling on her behalf, I've done many things for the same person. I know the person well. So it was easy for me to knock on his door this morning. So just before we started this thing, he was able to solve that problem for her. I've sent it to her. She's been sending me, thank you. But you see, I'm just paying it forward. And for me, I'm happy to do it because it was easy for me to do. For her, it was not easy because she didn't have that connect to that person. So that's where all this relationship building, she was like, I called two people, they said, just call Osayi that she can solve this thing for her. She knows this person directly. But all those prices have to be paid. Nobody's going to pay it. So even if your family pays it for you, so she's gone off now to go and tell her company that she solved the problem. They don't know how she solved the problem. She's also paid She's also, sacrificed something for our company that tomorrow, when something happens, they'll say, this lady did this thing for us. So all these things. So what we do at the back end is to ask God that he should make people remember when we call upon them. Hey, that's where the thing is. And that's another process also, Mrs. Jacks, that people also don't remember. When people have done something for you 4 years ago, I tell them very significantly that the person has forgotten that you have done that thing for them. But me, I don't come out, I don't live people's lives. I really do. So I've done it, but I'll always, if something comes up on Instagram, Twitter, whatever, I'll send a message. Well done. This is what's going on. So the person, we continuously have a relationship, even if it's not a physical. Not everybody is your friend. People always tell me, I have many friends. I don't have many friends. I have many acquaintances. I have many business connects. I have many church connects. I have a lot of connections. I have a lot of bridges. I have a lot of bridges. But I don't have many friends. Friends are different. We're talking about networking now and building business bridges. Yes. So you can have many of them. And you might have them not for your own self. A lot of the bridges I have, Mrs. Jacks, I've never used them for my own personal gain. But later I found out that I use it for somebody else. I use it for Mrs. Jacks. Mrs. Jacks remembered that I've used it for her 5 years ago. And it's always willing to listen to me. For Mrs. Thomas that will come and call me because she wants to talk to Mrs. Jacks. But that also gives me, a feel-good attitude one. It also, there's so many things that come with it. So it's not only luck. Luck is great. Favor is helpful. But you have to pay that way. You have to open that door. You have to walk in. You have to move forward. And all these things are things that I just spoke about now.
Really, really interesting because, the issue of paying a price is something that people don't really remember or think about, that you really have to pay a price. Well, what kind of price would you pay to be in a network, to be part, to build relationships? And I like the way you put it, building relationships, because it's not like you just casually, have a relationship. What kind of price do you pay, and how do you intentionally build relationships, even among your business? Yeah, your business. I think there are two metaphors you use, them, connections and bridges. I love bridges. I really do love bridges.
Bridges are just beautiful. Even a picture of a bridge, Mrs. Jacks, is beautiful because it leads from one place to the next. It doesn't stop halfway. But the thing about the bridge is that you must walk through the bridge. You must cross. You must take that walk. Even if you are going to enter a car to take you across the bridge, you have to enter that car. You have to start the car. You have to move. So it's work that goes into moving from one end to the other end. And that's why I always tell people that bridges are beautiful because you can also see the end. A lot of times with bridges, with other things, you might not be able to see water. You don't see the full thing, but with bridges, you always see the end. And you know that if I get to the other side, I will get to where I'm supposed to get to. So those are, in terms of prices, there are different prices. I don't tell people to, I'm a gift giver, but that's one of my, everybody, you need to know who you are as a person.
Yeah.
And we're all very different. So if I'm a gift giver and then you just decide that, I as Ibuku, I want to be a gift giver, that's not your calling. It's not who you are as a person. You might be a person that is more empathetic. You are the person that calls people more, or you're the person that is there for someone when they're having something, you are there helping them to sort things out. I'm really there for those things, but all the other things I would do. So we all have to know what your gift is and hone those things. So it's not about people say, I sent her a very nice gift. I spent all my salary to buy her a gift. And I'm telling you, first of all, those things don't work that way. And second, it might be a gift that the person does not even value. So do you know who the person is as a person? I don't just buy gifts. You have to understand who that person is. Who are they? And that's also knowing the people around them. So those are the things that you have to also sacrifice, and the timing also. Immediately, today I can tell you how many people I've reached out to that I have not spoken to in yonks, but I've reached out to them today because in my mind, there's something that is reminding me that we're entering into our third month and I've not spoken to this person. So I'm very deliberate about those things. I've sent messages. How are you doing? How are the kids? What's going on? And my friends will tell you, I'm one of those people that I don't forget birthdays. But I'm not, it's not like my brain works better than somebody else's brain. I'm just deliberate. It's consciously on all my phones. My assistants know all the birthday days. So if I don't remember, they are reminding me. I use everybody I know. I'm connected to so many people. So they tell me. And I remind even my friends about their own children and their husbands' birthdays because it's who I am. But then you find your own and then pay that price. That price must be paid. Even in relationships, even in marriage, in relationships with siblings, you pay a price.
Yeah.
You must
Oh,
pay.
you
You continuously work and harness that relationship. You continue to build it. Once you don't build it, it's going to fall apart. So that's the same way with a business relationship. Someone has done you good in starting a business. You are in your 4th year. That thing that person did 4 years ago, you have even forgotten. How are you as a business person going to forget? You don't forget those things. You must remember. I send a message, even if sometimes it might even be a handwritten note to say, Mrs. Jacks, I remember when you told me to call Osayi 4 years ago, and Osayi was able to help me to do this. God just put it in my memory again today, and I just decided to send you a letter to say thank you. I really, really appreciate it. This is what the business is doing now. You send a letter. You don't have to put any gift. And now, letter now. You can even send it online, make it, put flowers on the side. So, but those things are sacrifices too, because it takes you out of your time. You spend time to do it. Also, I like handwritten notes. I'm old school. Or you send somebody to go and drop it by the gate, or even mango. So I was telling someone yesterday, even sending me 10 mangoes will make me happy because I'm a mango person.
Me too.
So you have to just find things that, we click for that person. And people say, oh, but it's business. They just did it for me. It's business. I sometimes I shop with them. No, it's not just business. They are also giving you of their resources that they've earned. They've gone to school to go and learn. If it's their brain they're giving you, they learned it for a certain number of years. If the person has a master's degree and resources of years, Mrs. Jack, look at how many years you have done something for consistently with so much and then you now give someone 1 hour and she said, it wasn't stressful for her. Who told you it wasn't stressful?
Exactly.
Are you joking? Even all these things you are doing, teaching us things daily, it takes time. You think the process, yes, you do it for free. They say, Mrs. Jack, that's what she likes. She likes to do it. No. God has called her to do it, but she's also sacrificed. So you must remember that sacrifices were paid for. Even if it was not hard currency, it was paid for by somebody's sweat, their time, their effort, their brain, their networks. All these things help you in terms of your business. And in doing that, once you do that sacrifice, you must remember that those are things that you. So in giving back, you don't have to give back in the same way. You can always do it in different ways, or do it for somebody else. God always rewards. He do it for somebody else and do it. There are many things I've done. Someone has come 10 years after Mrs. Jax and told me, remember when you got me that job? And I cannot even remember anything, nothing. And you have moved on 100 years after. But they will remember when somebody comes and mentions your name and say, I remember. I know that I live with favor for my father's time. My sister said she went into a place for a business. There are 4 people. The person that was sitting there said, I know your father. I remember what your dad did for my dad. So it's you that will work with, because all of you are the same. So I'll work with you because your father sacrificed at that time for my father's business and he helped it to turn it around. So she's reaping the fruit of a generation that has gone. He's dead. And that's the same way that you want your children to reap the next fruit. So we always have to build those networks. We have to connect. We have to continuously build relationships because you never know where it's going to take you or even your next generation too.
That's really compounded favor. That is really compounded.
I like that compounded favor.
Yes. Okay, so this is the situation for many of the small businesses or growing businesses I work with. So let me play the scenario out. Say I lived and went to school in not a very cosmopolitan environment, and I don't have serious connections that can help me open doors. All my classmates are they're like me, but I do have a great idea. How do I even begin? How do I get to hello in the right space?
In the right space.
Yes.
All our spaces are different. So I understand this, so we're all very different from different backgrounds, from different communities. And sometimes people claim that they're introverted, some people are extroverted. I don't know what that means, because I feel that relationships and building networks is not about being quiet or about being noisy. It's about having a listening ear and knowing when to do at the right time. Okay, so let's give this scenario. Mr. Jacks, you don't know anybody. You are working in a bank, in a Nigerian bank, for example. You don't know many people, or you start a business. You don't know many people, but you have to bank with someone. So maybe you bank with Access Bank, and you walk into the bank every day. You are dropping your money in. That is already a connect. Who are your account officers? What do they do? Don't just go there and just drop money and walk out. Mrs. Fashola, how are you? What's going on? The banks, what are you doing now for SMEs? What's going on? She will say, nothing, no, you go again. Next day, you ask her again. By the time you ask her by the fourth, fifth time, she starts looking for things that they are doing for SMEs, which they are all doing. And if you're a woman, for example, there's so many, all the different banks have different things now for women initiatives, and they all have something. So you now ask her, she's actually, I heard that there's something called W in Access. They always meet some of those women. They're all entrepreneurs. Let me send you their details. That's how your hike starts. You go to the first meeting, you sit down there, you listen to them. You look around the room, there are 50 other women like you, entrepreneurs. Then maybe you find 2 of them that are doing exactly the same thing you're doing. Those are the first 2 you should go to. Go and talk to them. That's where the network starts. This is my card. What do you do? My own shop is in Surulere. Where's your own Bagada? Where's your own Yenapaja? Fantastic. So what do you do? What's the problem that you have? How are you managing it? That's the first conversation. You take 2 people out of there. So sometimes we walk into a place and we feel so overwhelmed. Too many people.
Yeah.
And then you get so overwhelmed. How am I going to talk to all these people? Don't forget all the people. Just start listening to them first of all. My own is that I always tell people, if I listen and nobody's connected to what I feel, I will ask a question, good or bad or ugly. Stand up. My name is Osayi Alile. I'm the something of this. My something is in Yaropaja. Please, if there's anybody here that does what I do, can we meet at tea break to have a conversation? You have opened the door. Even if it's only 2 people that come to talk to you, that's all you need. So use that as your platform, and then you start to build from there. But when people tell me that I don't know how to talk to anybody, my school is from one place, nobody is there, all of us are the same. You have already, I'm giving you an example, a bank. Bank is opened because you are dropping 5,000 every week with them anyway. So you're already their customer. There's nobody that is doing business that I will tell them that they don't work, they don't have a bank. At least you have a bank, even if you have only 20,000 out there. Well, of course, we all know the issues now with banks. I'm talking about generally when there were so many other events going on. This is just a season we are going through. Then we have churches or mosques or wherever we go to. And every one of them always have one program or the other that they're doing. Don't go there and just sit in church and just get up on Sunday and leave. Every Sunday you go there, Sunday go, leave. And then they'll ask you, are you a member of church? I've been going there for the past 10 years. But the pastor,
nobody knows you.
Pastor does not know me. And then you'll be angry that the pastor does not know you. They don't even know that this is the business I do, that I even supply chairs. I have rental business. My church has never used me. How would they use? They don't know you do it now. Hey, sister, if you don't tell, how will we know? We can never know. And those things is also by always doing small groups of things, getting involved in what they are doing, what they are saying, asking questions. In fact, I always tell people, even if you don't want to get involved in everything, one day they will have one meeting one morning. They'll say business something connect of the church. Just go. Sit down there and be looking at everybody. Find 2 people that look like you. If look for similarities first, whatever it is. And then ask, do you have children? It starts with your children if you want to. Are you married or whatever? Start somewhere. But then that's when you now start talking to people. They now know you have a rental business. This is what you do. This is how you want to start doing it. Why would they be going to go and get chairs and tables from somebody else when you have been in the church for 10 years? They don't even want to do it. I've worked in church for many years. We're always looking for people that are in our space because you also want your own people, your members to progress. So no church will want to go and support somebody else when they have them in. Of course, service is another matter. If the service is not good, that's another matter. So let's not even go there. I'm just talking about generally. But these are opportunities that are available to you. Even with school, you find that a lot of parents just do drop-ups and they leave. For me,
I'm guilty. I'm very guilty of that.
Well, Mrs. GJ, you have other avenues.
Yes, I do.
Yes. So when you realize that you have other avenues, you find out that it's a bit easier because the other avenue can give you what you're looking for. Well, I'm talking about people that have no other avenue. Look for one that is closest to you. If you do drop-ups, I mean, I know a parent that moved back to the country, had no friends, and she sent a message to all the class, ask your mom if she wants to do coffee after school. And by the time we all got there, I'm not even in after those kind of mothers at all. But I just thought to myself, for this person to reach out, there must be a reason. We got there, we had about 12 of us. This is a few years ago. And she kept on saying, I know no one. So when I drop the kids in school, I'm always confused. I don't know what to do. And she was just opened. She's still my friend today. My son is almost 21 because she just removed her ego and her pride and her fear and reached out to all of us. And from there, that's how our kids have gone to school over the years, and the kids are still friends and we are still friends. So those things are things you can do. Don't wait for other people to help you to open the door. Sometimes that door, that bridge, you must cross it by yourself. You must open it by yourself. And don't be worried that it doesn't give you everything that you're looking for. Sometimes our expectations are very high with the first meet and greet we have with people. We just expect that the person also likes you because you're a very likable person. People are dealing with different things and they don't have to like you. It's not about liking you. It's about building a relationship. Forget likeness. It's not everybody I have relationships with in terms of business that I genuinely will like. I want to be my close friend. No, but they are good at what they do. And if they are good at what they do, what do I want from what they do? That's what I look for. And in doing that, it's the same thing. Not everybody that comes to me wants to be my close friend or wants to like me. They know that I'm good at what I do. So they come to me because they know that I can solve a situation for them. So those are the things that you have to think about. So don't think of them as friendships. Think of them as building relationships to help you to grow your business in a sustainable manner. Once you do that and you see it as part of a business deal, then it's a bit easier to manage.
It's actually a very key business skill. And like I said, for me, this whole thing, when we started off, I didn't know how impactful it would be, but it's turned out to be like those things they don't teach you in B school, it's turned out to be something like that. But I'd just like to just go over for people who are just joining us. We've talked about networking. Yes, some people might look at it as this favor, but you have to pay the price. You have to do the work, and you have to definitely, if you don't necessarily have to pay it back to the person who did you that favor, but pay it forward, definitely pay it forward. And help people remember, because people forget. We have so many reasons why we forget, but help them remember. And these connections are like bridges, you can see it with bridges, it's not like a river, the ocean, you really can't see the beginning and the end, even though they tell us Mango Park discovered River Niger, but you can't see the beginning and the end, but with bridges, you know where it starts and you know where it ends, and you know that it connects two parts, which would not necessarily have come together in the first place. So connections are like bridges, and put yourself forward, no matter where you're coming from, where you're starting from, put yourself forward, talk to people first, be willing to be vulnerable. And when they say there's no silly question, truly there's no silly question. No. And if people say no, and that's another thing I'll come to, okay, so I'll leave that, get involved in your church, in your mosque, in your place of worship, in your school groups. I know school groups that are very active.
Yes, very good, very strong.
Very strong, And what did you say? He said, if you don't tell people, they won't know. If you don't talk about yourself, people won't know about you, And look for similarities. Stop looking for the highest hanging fruit, And this, I'm speaking to people of all ages who are starting business. Some of us have had to start again. This is our fourth careers, and you have to start again. And guess who you have to network with? Not only Osayi's age range, people younger.
100%.
Yes, people younger. So she said, remove your ego, remove your pride, remove your fear. sometimes it's easier said than done, but you really have to. Ego is that the first thing that must go. Just say, you know what, I don't know how to do this. How do you guys do this?
Yeah.
Sometimes I do it with my teenager, and when she says, I'm confused, I tell her, okay, no, just come teach me this. Teach me
Yeah.
this. Right now, she's having a problem with literature. And I said, okay, what we'll do every day is you teach me something, and that's what I do with a lot of Gen Zs. I work with a lot of millennials and Gen Zs. I just tell them, I have an idea of where I want to go, but I don't know how to go
How to get
about it.
there. Exactly.
So like, teach me. Okay, you don't know too much. Okay, who else could we bring in? So I have accumulated,
So
me, I
many
always
friends.
accumulate children.
But it's a beautiful thing.
It is. It is.
And it keeps you understanding what's going on, keeps you young, and it keeps you. I mean, I was just giving an example a few days ago. My mom, as you said, talked about different stages in life. I mean, now different people will listen to this. We have younger people, older people, and then you get to a certain age when you know that you're not ready to retire completely. You still have so much to give. And my mom was like, I need to build my network to my age. I need to find other people that I can talk to. Since your dad has passed, I need new friends. And she just found a older, I think over 70 group in Ikoyi, and they meet once or twice a week. She has even invited 3 of our other friends. She started swimming with young people. So she's going to go and find. It's a new lease of life. And then you see her, she has swimming classes. So after swimming, we're going to have tea with friends. And I'm thinking to myself,
just wondering.
I mean, who are your friends? But it's a network. And I'm meeting people through her now because they're like, is that your mom? We go to class together. Or my mom and her are friends at this old people's, I don't want to call them old people's home. I don't like that. But like a center for older people that they enjoy, and they do all things. They have a garden there. They do all sorts of things. So you have to find what is your own, and then do it regardless of what is going on, because everybody has to live their life in their fullest. And even networking and building relationships helps you to get there, because no one is an island. When you're walking across a bridge by yourself, it seems longer. But you can imagine when you're taking walks with people, you find out that you've done 10K, you're thinking, how did we finish 10K?
How did you get there?
Don't try it by yourself. You'll be like looking at the time, checking your watch. You've been working for hours. But with people, it makes it easier. It makes it when you have people that are solidly behind you with your business, what you're doing. If you're starting a new business, even when you take a few steps that are wrong, people that can tell you, this thing is going well, don't worry, just keep at it. You find out that you work faster, you work better. Mistakes will happen. Challenges must come. Anyone as an entrepreneur will tell you, if you're having it free flowing at the moment, enjoy while it lasts. It will come. Challenges must come. We must fall on our faces times. But when you have strong relationships in terms of business, social life, it helps you to gather yourself and to move forward.
Last week we spoke to Maury.
Yes.
Maury Desalu. And one of the things she talked about was who's at your table. And I had promised that I'll put that link. I found the link. I haven't put it out yet. But they said that 7 people who should be at your table. I can't speak to it because I didn't really read it. But these 7 people, at least 7 people, it might be less, but they must serve different purposes, and you must be intentional. That's the thing you mentioned, the intentionality of opening yourself up, And let me speak about the organization that both of us belong to, the not-for-profit that we belong to. There was intentionality in it. Yes. And it was like the greater good is what we're going to serve, no matter what. And the greater good was just to advance the cause of women, And there was intentionality that we had to not just, the last BIMBIZ conference we had, there's a girl, I don't know if she's up to 21, but she came up to me and Auntie Miro, we were sitting down after lunch, and she came up and said, do you guys want solar panels? I think we were in a very good mood. We were in a very good mood. We had just had lunch, and it was a great lunch, So we said, sit down, introduce yourself.
Exactly.
What do you do? And we just sat down with her, and we put her through things. Even she gave us her card, and we said, okay,
should have been happier.
Do it this way, do it that way, do it that way. And now come back and introduce yourself again to us, And I think in December or January, she sent me a message and she said, "Oh, I spoke to you. I also sent a message to the other auntie." I'm like, "Okay, just keep it up. One day we will call you." But because she came up to us and she was willing to look silly.
Yes.
But she was willing to look silly in order to, if not make a sale, but make a friend.
Yes.
Make a friend. And
personality is important. Yes.
Very, very important. And I think from what you're saying, why am I networking? There are groups that you join and you have to ask yourself, what is in it for me? It sounds a bit selfish, but you have to ask yourself, why do I want to join this group? If it's a church group, you ask yourself, okay, why am I in this, or a mosque group? Am I in this? Okay, let me say a faith-based group. That's better, Am I in this to improve myself? Am I just trying to get attention to myself?
Yeah.
You have to tell yourself the truth,
And once you know what the truth is, it sets you free.
It does.
It sets you free, because people will tell me that, oh, you're great at networking, but I must tell you, Mrs. Jack, I don't do it. I rarely do it because I want something. I do it because I just feel to myself that there's so much to get from this person. And then just in case someone comes to me tomorrow and they need help from Mrs. Jax, I must be able to help Mrs. Jax. I must be able to help that person to reach her. So it's always about other people, and I think it's also, maybe it's my friends or my son tell me, it's a calling. God has just blessed you with a calling. But
I think so, Sai. I think so. I really think so, because I was telling her, I think it was 2 years ago, I said to her, Osai, I must look for an event to have in Port Harcourt so you could come, because I know she goes out for people. I know they may not all be her best friends, but she does go out for people, and that's something, it's a calling.
We're called to this world to be for people. That's what we're called for. Everything else that we're doing is just works. It's work. We're working. We're working to eat. We're working to feed. We're working to take care of ourselves. But the first calling is for people. And it might be your family, your immediate family, your children, your siblings, or your spouse. But after that, we're called to do all these things. And that's what relationships really is about building those things and making sure it's beneficial to your business. So that's when I said I don't understand when people tell me they're introverts or they're extroverts. I feel I'm an introvert because I'm a homebody, but I know that every other thing is part of my lifestyle. But I feel that because building relationship is not about being an introvert or an extrovert. It's about just finding your reason for being. Mm-hmm. And you find out that when you have good business relationship, because you even listen more, because you can hear the underlying about what that person is saying, and you are able to solve the problem. Even we as staff or as CEOs, as entrepreneurs, the reason why you succeed is because you listen more. You're listening for that underlying thing, that what does my business need to do to get to the next level? It's not because you are talking more and you're going to a place and you're all you can talk to 100 people in a room at a given time. No, not necessarily so. It's the fact that because you're intuitive, you can hear more than anybody else can hear, even when people are not speaking. I tell people that I hear more when people are not speaking, because I can walk into a place and I can see issues because I have a heart of the fact that I want to be able to solve a problem. So it's not so introvert and extrovert doesn't mean building great relationships. Some people that are introverts have nasty relationships with their families. So that's already it. So that's not what it is. It's about knowing and about going to a space and knowing, what do I want to get from that space? What do I want to get from even coming to have this conversation today? Even when I accept conversations, I accept it for reasons. I know that I've learned something new and I want to be able to teach it. I know that, I made a mistake about networking. I want to be able to talk about it, So I'm looking for an opportunity to be able to speak about it. Or I've had people asking me over and over again, and I'm thinking, okay, now if I say this now, Mrs. Jax will post it. I can post it out. More people will get it. So I don't have to tell people the same thing. So everything that you're doing must be deliberate. You must ask yourself questions. Why am I? You don't have to be everywhere. I can go to 10 events in a day, Mrs. J. I've done it many times. And I cannot go to an event for 3 months. But sometimes those events are important for me to go to. And sometimes they're not important and I sit at home. But because I know who I am, I'm not worried that the person will feel uncomfortable that I didn't come. Because I know that the extra things I've done, my glass is always full. Yes. So if
I love that. My glass is always full.
Yeah, my glass is full with that person. So if I don't go, the person will even be giving reasons for me that I knew why Osayi did not come. And it happens all the time. My friend is always angry. Like they were even saying that you didn't come. Because my glass is full. My relationship quota is very high. So when I know that my relationship quota is low, then I make more of an effort, you know. And it doesn't mean that everything is always beautiful, you know. Even with my, you know, with my family, my son, I have days I sit with him and say, where am I in terms of my relationship with you? And he will tell you 20%. And I'm like,
do you have those kind of conversations?
Oh, definitely. I do. I do it with my staff. I sit down with them and ask them, where are we in terms of work? What's going on with your life? 5-10 minutes. And they'll tell me, I think I need you to help me more with this. And then I'm able to do it. Even with my child, I do it. I sit down with him and I tell him what is the good things that mommy has done in the last year. What do you think I did well for you? And he will release it. And one time I thought I was 45% or 50%. He gave me 75. Sometimes I think I'm 75. I'll give you 20. And you have to ask yourself, you have to ask, how do I manage that? Because that's my greatest constituency. I need to be at peace.
Oh, I'm going to do that, but I think it's dangerous with a teenager. She's probably going to give me 20. She's going to give me 20 or 10%.
Those children. You see, what I realized, Mrs. J, is that once you do it often, they realize that you are taking it seriously. So they will now be more serious about the marks. They're not going to just give you low marks anymore. But it helps me because, you know, I mean, he's 21. So relationships are changing so fast. So I'm trying to be on top of things with him. And it has really helped us because when I realize I'm falling short, I try to. That's why I keep on saying it's a sacrifice. You just have to do. But you see, when you do, people do for you. My son is one of the greatest givers in this world because I've done so much. I always constantly, and he sees that what I do around. So he's constantly doing as well. So they learn from what you do. And even in your business, in your workplace, I have people that have left they've not worked with me for 15 years, 10 years. And when something is happening, I know how they gather, you know, so because they keep on saying, I know what you did for me 15 years ago, you know, so you also have to sacrifice, even for the people that work with. I know it's not easy, because human resources is the greatest challenges we have. But when you do it out of the fact that you don't care, as long as it's not taking everything from you, you don't really mind it. People say, but they're going to leave tomorrow. I said, yeah, but people are going to leave.
People are going to leave anyway. Yeah.
So am I going to say I'm not going to be kind to them, or I'm not going to sacrifice? I will build a relationship with them because they are leaving me. And I always tell them, even if you give me 3 months of your best, I prefer 3 months of your best than more than 2 years of nothing. Don't give me nothing. Give me 3 months of your best. And then if you leave me in 3 months, that 3 months I can never forget. But if you stay with me for 2 years and you're giving me rubbish, what benefit are you to me? I don't need you. And I want you to do more than I'm doing. I want you to be better than I am. So all these things are helping you in building, because it's an investment and it takes time. But you yield the results in the long term. All the people that have left are the ones that come and tell me, there's one grant here, there's one thing happening here. I told my people about you and all that, because they've gone to better places as far as I'm concerned. And so that also castigates and moves you to the next level as well. But, you know, so those are all the things that we need to do, and we have to do regardless.
So guys, networking is a long game for sure. Yes, it's a long game. Yeah. But there's something I want to ask, and this was another question that came in. It said, where do you draw the line between bragging and networking? How do you know when to keep it personal and when to escalate it? For example, when you're trying to get a contact or a contract, you know, yeah.
Emotional intelligence is key. But I promise you, we all make the mistake. Don't worry. Don't feel to yourself that, oh my goodness, when you live there, don't worry. Even the person you are bragging to has bragged to somebody else the day before. nobody stops bragging, so it's something that emotionally, you read a room as well. When you go to a place, like yesterday or a few days ago, I was at with a few people, and there's one particular gentleman I've been trying to meet for something else, but I read the room that it wasn't the right time. I could have anybody, if I wasn't emotionally intelligent, I could have walked on. I need to talk to you about this, but I just thought to myself, no. And I went up, had a conversation, introduced myself, and I said, it's a pleasure meeting you, and I walked away. So I've done that. I know I need the thing desperately, but sense must tell me that as desperate as you think you need this thing, you must have some sense to step back. This is not the season. This is not the time. Then I was thinking of the season in terms of the elections that are going on, what's going on, what's in everybody's mind. People are a bit worried. So you have to be careful about some things. But tooting your own horn, even at Wimbies, we've always taught it. We feel that you should. So if you see, as I'm talking now, I'm giving you examples. I'm talking about, we're having a conversation. So I'm giving you examples of what I've done, what I'm doing. I'm also telling you what I've not done wrong. So you mix a whole thing, lots of things together. So don't all just come here and say, oh, yes, I'm the best networker. I'm this. No. You can't even be the best. There's no best of anything. It's a journey. We all grow. So that's try and mix it sometimes, mix it together and all that. And then sometimes allow people to also toot your horn. A lot of times you'll find people that, and I have seen it many times when people sit in rooms and someone will come, I was just somewhere, or they were talking about you. One lady, she said she doesn't even know you well. This is what she said. I didn't even need to say anything because the person doesn't even know you. She said more than I would have even said. So you find that some people will toot on your behalf. So be blessed about that. And that's why you always have to constantly mention. But in talking about your business and your first impressions, what you have to still say what you do. You have to still talk about it because people might not know when to toot if you don't say what you are doing. And I also have the same issue with even my friends. I tell them that you assume that we all know what you are doing. Yes, we know that you have this business somewhere. But if you don't tell us this is exactly what the business does, how will we know? So a lot of times when they're my good friends, I actually visit, go into their office. Sometimes you just think that, oh, I know my friend does this thing. But you don't really know what they are really doing. So when I go and sit there for 2 hours and she's talking, she's doing this, my man, I'm like, man, you are really working. Sometimes that happens. And then even my friends that don't even understand NGO work, I say, come for a day. Just come. Or when we're having a program, come and volunteer for a few hours. You find out that they learn more about you as they do those things. So give people opportunities to learn about what you do and so they can toot for you. But always balance it out. Don't always go there and bash. Sometimes you sit with someone and find out that you're in a good table with some people that are doing great work. And all you're doing is bash. Start from questions. You can even, if the person asks you, I say, ask questions about what they do. And even as they do, they say, it's true. Wow, that's amazing. You just like, let me tell you a bit about my business. Then you say one or two things. And then the person say, hey, that's really, then it gives you an opportunity. But once you go there and you're talking only about yourself, it's after a while, human beings, we get tired.
Yeah.
But once you ask them about themselves, so when I enter a space, I look around. In someone's office. That's what I always do. Then if I don't see pictures and I don't realize the person doesn't want you to know about their personal life. So I face only work. But when I see a picture of a wife, children, pictures, of course, don't jump into conclusion. I always ask, who are those? So that's my wife and my children. The child has graduated. Is that your first one or second? Makes you comfortable. Then I now say, my son too is university. I can't wait for graduation. I'm so excited. Hey, I'm going to do HB. I've been warning that boy. Then they will say, I said, what did you do for graduation? They'll start talking. You have given them opportunities to open a door for you. Then that's when I'll now sit down and say, the reason why I came is this work that we are doing is for our children. The man will say, definitely. Hey, school fees. Then all of us, well, there's nobody in this world that does not complain about school fees.
School fees, yeah.
So once you just bring school fees up, we're all on the same page, a level playing field. Then I'll say, this business, we're trying to do this, we're trying to do that, we're trying to do this. You say, okay, let me think of it. Let me see if there's any way you can help. I'll say, thank you. As I'm going again, I say, these children, may there always be a sense of joy for us. So there's nobody that, even if the person doesn't like you, that will not say amen.
Yes.
No matter what their fate is. Once you pray about somebody's child, you may not always give us joy. Say, I want to, well done, sir. Thank you, sir. I'll see you again. And you walk away. That's it. So there are different, you have to make yourself, in finding amicable people, you have to make yourself amicable. In finding pleasant people, you have to make yourself pleasant. I don't walk into a situation, all of us carry bags, Mrs. J. All of us, we all have our bags we carry. Troubles.
Yeah.
So many troubles.
Yeah.
But I'm coming, even if I'm only you that I can see here, I've come in, I've done my hair, I put makeup, I dressed up, I'm working from home, but I still come giving an impression, because we all look at things first. We see something first and we draw a conclusion. We hear a person's voice and if you come here and I'm sitting like this, and that business is doing then the person constantly has to ask you questions. After a while, you will stop. But if I'm also amicable, I'm personable, I'm this, I'm that, it's easier. We do it to our children now. Talk properly now.
Sit exactly. Down. Sit
so
up.
Why don't you do the same thing? Talk properly, sit up, Well, we just know that this is who we are, and people should accept us that way. It doesn't work.
I'll tell you something. I interviewed someone once for a job, and she was slumped like this, and she was swiveling in the chair like that.
Yeah.
And I asked her, I said, do you have a back problem? Are you okay? And she said, yes. I said, so why are you slumped? A young lady, sit up. There's nothing wrong with the chair. And she said, I like to sit this way. I just said in my mind, nope.
Plenty question marks. And the person might be a great person, but it's just those things, impressions matter. Even in terms of building relationships, impressions matter.
Yes, impressions matter.
When we meet our spouses or it's from first impression. I liked him when I saw him. When he was smiling at me, I smiled back. That's the same thing with business. So there's no difference.
Sure.
There's some customers. There's some customers I've never met before that we have been dealing with on Instagram. It's how they approach us, how they answer questions, how they're always so sweet. When we say hello, the first say, "Good morning, ma. Are you okay? The baby's food, is everything all right? Do you need more? I have some new products." So we have never met for 5 years and we're still doing the same thing. Those things matter. Those things matter.
What you said just takes me to I think it's about rounding up now. And that is about how do people deal with, in these years of technology, in these days of technology and digital, are the rules of networking the same? Because sometimes you don't know who's behind that face. Yeah. Are the rules of networking really the same? You deal with people across Africa and beyond. Yeah. How have the rules changed, if at all?
It's like, I don't think it has changed though. It hasn't changed in terms of it's the same thing. I see. I have business dealings with people that I've never met before, and the first thing they always tell me is that when they want to introduce me to somebody, they say, "Osayi is so friendly, open to help." We've never met. It's what they see, how I react, how I respond to their messages. I can't get a message and I don't respond. Of course, I'm busy, so sometimes you find out somebody's responding, but I will insist. And if you work with me, you must know that those things are important to me as well. You must respond immediately, tell them what's going on and stuff like that. You can't get a question, come and talk to someone, and it will take me 2 weeks to answer you. Those things still exist. And even in conversations in Zoom now, you're not in Lagos, I'm in Lagos. We're talking to each other. I'm answering you. I'm saying Mrs. Jax. I'm saying Mrs. J. I'm not being rude. I'm not saying yes, Julia. There's some things that are important and all that. Those are things that you continue to do. Of course, it gets to a point where someone says, "Oh, no, don't worry. This is a business thing. You can call me this." Then after that, I can do that. But
they've given you permission. Yeah.
Permission to do that. So respect is reciprocal. I don't even know the age of the person that's across sending me the messages, but I always respond in the most dignified fashion from the very beginning, because I don't know who that person is or what they're going to do. So we continue on that relationship. And I've met them after 5 years. They was, "You are exactly the same, the way I imagined you. All your pictures, the way I imagined you. Your hair is always, they smile and laugh, but it's because of what I've shown. When you open your hand, people see what's in it. It's as simple as that. Because once you close, nobody knows what's in there. Once you open your hand, doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean that you are always great or things are always cheerful and beautiful. But it's who you are. We see you. I see you as who you are. And we continue to work based on that. So
Yeah.
you sit in a room. I know we have to round up. You sit in a room and someone is bashing.
No. We still have some time. We have a little
There's
time.
always somebody that will speak up for you and say, no, I've had it many times, Mrs. J. When someone will come and say, hey, they wanted to, they say, that girl, no, don't do that now. I don't really know, but I see her. She's always trying her best. It's not easy now. So once you bring yourself like that and your hands are like this, it's easy. It's easy. It might take some time, but we get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah. That's why it's called building networks. It's not you just arrive at a network. No, it's not microwave.
Not microwave at all.
No, it isn't, And I think for me, let me talk about the digital networking. I think I have an issue. It started with when the financial institutions will they'll send you those birthday or end of seasonal greetings, and they'll call me Mr. Julia. I'm like, okay, there is a problem here. They don't know me. Yeah. And then we went through this know your customer thing.
Yeah.
For ages. I think I must have filled like 3 forms.
And it still doesn't make any difference.
It still didn't make any difference. It's still, even when I changed, I didn't marry early now, So even when I changed my name from Oku to Jax, I'm still getting things as Oku. Yeah. I'm like, how many times am I going to change this thing? But I want to now bring it to how we relate to people digitally these days. Someone called me out of the blue on a Sunday. It must have been about 3:00, and said, hello, ma, I'd like to tell you about the kind of things that I'm like, this is Sunday, 3 p.m. Do you have a family?
Exactly.
Do you have a family? Why don't you speak at 8 a.m. tomorrow, between 8 and 8:30? And she sent me a message. I actually was ready. I didn't want to take I didn't want the product. I already knew what she was selling. I didn't want the product, but I'm always willing to make new friends. And guess what? She now sent a message to me about 8 p.m. or 8:45 the following day, that you said I should, you said I should call at 8 p.m. and you're not taking the call. I'm like, okay, cancel. So there is, like you said, there's a way we approach people. There's a way we have to be intentional. You talked about emotional intelligence and reading the room. And the soundbite I'll take away really is when you open your hand, people see what's in it. So when people open their hands and what you see there is rubbish, okay, not pure rubbish, but maybe they didn't, it's half cooked. It's what do they call it when you're doing steak? It's rare. It's rare. How do you come back from a setback when you're networking?
You can't come back because we all make mistakes. We all do it wrong. But it also depends on the patience of the person that you're working with. Because sometimes maybe the person is not patient at that particular time. I've had people that have done exactly the same thing. And then, in fact, I had a meeting from a company 2 days ago. They came to my office and I had a bit of an issue with them last year. But this time they came, I realized that they had made an effort. And as soon as I came, I was ready. I was just like looking as if, because of your MD, I'm going to see you people. But you could tell that they had made an effort. In fact, they didn't even talk about the business when they came. They just talked general about other things, how they were willing to help us, or that they were doing this, that they were, and they came, and they left. So even myself, I had to hold myself. And so when they were landing, I said, thank you so much for this visit. I actually enjoyed the conversation. So we can come back from it. But let me speak to those people that think to themselves that, a lot of people feel that we're not brought up, we don't know this thing. These things are learned. It's not of course, everybody comes from don't think of because they come from big family, rich family. Some rich families too, they don't know how to behave. Some poor families behave better. It's not about social strata at all. We learn, we make mistakes, we learn. It's a journey, we keep on learning. So when you hear these things, adjust some of those things. There's nothing wrong with saying, oh, you told me to call. I told you to call. and you're not picking. You don't know what is going on in my life at that particular time.
Exactly.
I said to you this morning, we all know that things happen well, I can shut this down now, and I get a phone call, something, my whole day is scattered. We don't want it when it happens. So you have to give people the benefit of doubt and say to yourself, regardless of how they answer, I'll just be completely polite. You are the one that wants the business, so you have to try and make more of an effort. And if you think it didn't go well, don't feel to yourself, let me shut everything down. You make an effort and go back and say, I'm so sorry, I apologize. This didn't go well, but I want to know how best to reach out to you. What's the best timing? And you find out the person will answer you. And once you do 2 or 3 times, all those things that happen later, we always cut slack for people that we've seen that have made an effort. It's always like that.
Absolutely. Yes.
We give them all the slacks necessary. I have someone that I do business with. My friends are always saying, this girl, she has done this many times, but I've cut her so much slack because she has always gone way above that I've always wanted. So it's easy for me now to cut her some slack. But I will correct her once I have the timing or when I feel comfortable about it. But I cut her more slack. So always, and that's why we go back to first impressions. Let your first impression last you through a certain part of your journey of the bridge. That's so that when you get to the middle, the person can always turn back and go back.
That messy middle. Yeah.
Yeah, that messy, because the messy middle happens. So once the beginning goes well and the person has walked you to the middle, the person will think, should I go back? If I go back, I'll go and start again. Let me just continue with this person. It's always a bit easier. But try as much as possible to begin to build the foundations very strong and make the mistakes, correct it as you go along. Some of those customers you will lose. Just say to yourself, okay, I learned from this and move on to the next one. But don't feel to yourself, I'm the one that is doing right and they are always doing wrong. It doesn't work like that. If you find 2 or 3 people complain about the same thing, check your process flow and make adjustments. Something is definitely going wrong. It might not be directly from you, it might be people that you work with or people that are rendering your services. But if you find a few people calling you, be grateful to God that they like your brand enough to call you and complain.
Yes.
Because a lot of times the brands I don't care about, I don't bother. But a lot of the times the brands I care, even if I don't know the person, I will go and look for the person. I've done it many times. I will say, who knows this brand? And I will find the owner and I'll say, this is what happened, this is what, and you'll find out that they always come back to say thank you. So these are things that we all learn as we go along. And in doing this, it's also building your relationships, because there's some of the places I can go into now, collect things. And especially now, this season, that nothing is working.
I tell you. I tell you.
Someone, they delivered things to me yesterday. I've not paid. But the woman was like, Madam, I know that this is a very interesting time. Collect the products because I know you need them. When you can, just keep on trying. So those are, because you have built a network, you have built relationships, so she can send you things to her. I've never met this woman before, but I've been ordering her from her for 5 years. And she said, pay me when you can, because I know that these things are difficult. And
you're good for it.
Yeah. So those things we will learn.
Well, thank you so much, Osayi. I mean, it's always a pleasure, and it's always like time passes like a flash when we talk, But I really hope that owners of growing businesses and other people we all need to build networks, we need people. I mean, who are you going to do business with? Some aliens? We need people, So I think for me, the big things that I've heard is, and this is, I'm going to learn, I'm going to actually actively do it. You said my glass is always full. That is, you actually do invest in your social networks. Very important. So keep investing, invest and keep investing. And it's not a matter of quid pro quo. You scratch my back, I scratch your back. No. And it's not an issue of I'm bribing. There's someone I sent gifts to yesterday. And for me, it wasn't about the gifts. It was about the fact that I acknowledge that this person is important, not even for my business, but is important in my life.
Yes.
And it was the person's birthday, and I just wanted, I wasn't even in town to do that. So I asked someone to package things. They sent me options. I said, okay, so please go deliver and send a card. The person doesn't know my handwriting.
Exactly.
Send a card. I just say, from this is the greeting, I'm from XYZ, And I did that. The person may reply, may not reply, but you know what? It registers.
Yes.
it registers, it registers. So, and it wasn't an expensive gift basket. So, like you said, people can give mangoes. I mean, yeah, anybody who wants to network with me, mango season, I'm there, and find what the person likes. Find what is meaningful to the person. You might give somebody diamonds and it really doesn't make any difference
No
to
different
them.
at all. Yeah.
Yes, but you help maybe give a word in somebody's school to the principal.
Yeah.
Okay, and it makes a major difference to the person. So find what works, do your homework, and what Osayi said, 2 things that I'd like to leave: develop your emotional intelligence and learn to read the room. Very, very important. Very important. So I hope we've been useful to you today. Next week, we start another series, and this is a series we're going to run with for a long time. We are looking at the creative economy. We're looking at the creative economy, and that is an economy that I really love. I really, really love. So we're going to be sitting there for quite a while, and discovering different things. But all these things we've talked about are foundational issues. You have to network. There has to be great. You have to know when to pivot. Some people have moved from being writers to being directors to being actors.
100%.
Everything, So there's so much that we have. And we need to check our mental health. Very important. Very, very important. And without networking, I mean, how on earth, one of the major movies I think it was last year. Yeah, it was last year. Woman King. We had somebody from Nigeria who was an actor. Yeah.
And you heard the story, how he got that part. It's from people. Somebody.
From people. Yes.
And he was preparing himself for it,
And he was doing his work well,
Yes.
Yeah. So people are watching, guys. People are watching, and please do your best. And I'm sure this has been of help to you, and I know it's been of great help to me, Osayi. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I'll ask my 16-year-old, and I'll tell you how it goes.
I can't wait to hear.
I'll tell you how it goes.
All right. Thank you so much, Mrs. Jack.
Thank you. Take care, and love to your boys.
Bye, everyone. Go out and vote.
Yeah, guys, go out and vote. I know it's too late to say get your PVC. If you haven't gotten it, well, you are to blame. We'll be looking for you. Go out and vote. Take care, everyone. Bye. See you next week.